Why many understand English but struggle to speak. Hello, friends. Welcome to Avocado's English Podcast, where we talk about learning English in a fun and easy way. Today, I want to talk about something very common for many English learners. You can understand English when you listen or read, but when it's your turn to speak, you feel stuck or nervous. Why does this happen? Well, I had the same problem when I started learning English. When I first began, I watched a lot of English videos. I could understand simple sentences and follow what people said. But when I tried to speak, words did not come out easily. I remember once I was at a party and someone asked me a simple question, but I just smiled and nodded because I was too scared to answer. It was frustrating because I knew the words in my head, but I could not say them quickly or correctly. This happens to many learners because understanding which we call input and speaking output are two different skills. It's easier to get used to hearing English slowly and reading simple texts than to use English yourself in real life. Sometimes, learners feel more comfortable just listening or reading and think that is enough. But speaking needs practice in a different way. I also noticed that in school, most of our lessons were about listening and reading. We had few chances to speak or write. That made me good at understanding, but not so good at talking. So, if you feel this way, don't worry, you are not alone. In this podcast, I will share what helped me speak better and how you can change your learning style to speak English more fluently. Stay with me, and let's start this fun journey together. Input versus output. What really helps you speak? When I was learning English, I spent many hours watching videos and listening to songs. This is what teachers call input. It means you take in the language by hearing or reading it. Input is important because it helps you learn new words and understand grammar. But I found that just listening or reading was not enough to make me speak well. The problem is, most language schools and classes focus on input. They want you to listen to dialogues or read stories, but they don't give enough chances to talk or write. Talking and writing are called output. Because you produce the language yourself, output is the key to really learning to speak fluently. I remember when I changed my learning routine. Instead of only watching videos, I started to speak after each video. For example, if I watched a short clip about cooking, I would try to explain the recipe out loud in my own words. It was hard at first, but it helped me use new words and practice forming sentences. This is very different from just listening passively. Research shows that the best way to learn a language is to have more output than input. The idea is to spend about 70% of your time speaking and writing, and only 30% listening and reading. When you speak more, your brain works actively to remember and use the language. This is how you improve faster. In my own experience, making output a habit changed everything. I stopped feeling shy and started to enjoy using English. So, if you want to speak better, try to speak as much as you listen or read. It's okay to make mistakes, that's part of learning. Practicing alone. Imaginary friends and real progress. When I first started to practice speaking English, I didn't have anyone to talk to. I live in a place where not many people speak English, so I had to find my own way. At that time, I started talking to myself a lot. It sounds strange, but it really helped me. After watching an English video or reading something, I would try to explain what I learned out loud. Sometimes, I pretended I was teaching an imaginary friend. For example, I watched a video about making coffee, and then I explained step by step how to make it. just to practice my words. At first, I felt silly, but it was a safe way to try speaking without fear. This method helped me remember new words and practice pronunciation. Also, by putting the ideas into my own words, I understood the meaning better. It's like your brain works twice, first to understand, then to create sentences. This makes learning deeper. However, there is a problem with practicing alone, since there is no one to listen carefully. I couldn't know if I was making mistakes in grammar or pronunciation. Sometimes, I would say words wrong and repeat them again and again. Without correction, these mistakes became habits. I remember one funny example. For a long time, I said the word comfortable as comfortable with all the sounds clearly, but native speakers say it more quickly and smoothly. I didn't realize my mistake until a friend gently corrected me. It was a small change, but it made my English sound more natural. So, practicing alone is a good start. But you also need to find ways to check your mistakes. Otherwise, you might keep learning the wrong way without knowing it. In the next part, I will share how getting feedback changed my English learning for the better. Getting feedback. Why correction is key. After practicing speaking alone for some time, I realized I needed help. It was like running in circles without knowing if I was improving. That's when I understood the power of feedback, getting corrections from someone who knows English well. When you speak English, it's normal to make mistakes. But if no one tells you about those mistakes, they can become a habit. I remember when I was learning, I often said sheeps instead of sheep because I didn't know that sheep is the same in singular and plural. No one corrected me for a while, so I kept saying it wrong. I was lucky to find native speakers who could listen to me and help me fix these errors. Talking with them helped me notice small grammar problems, pronunciation mistakes, and wrong word choices. For example, I had trouble with the TH sound and would say S instead. Native friends gently corrected me, and little by little, my pronunciation improved. Today, there are many ways to get feedback, even if you don't live near native speakers. I recommend using apps like Busuu, where you can practice speaking and writing and receive corrections from real people. This makes learning much faster and more effective because you are not guessing if you're right or wrong. When I used Busuu, I also liked the personalized study plans. These plans help you know what to practice each day, which makes it easier to stay consistent. Consistency is very important for language learning. Remember, nobody speaks perfectly at the beginning. The goal is to improve step by step. So don't be afraid to make mistakes and ask for help. Feedback is a gift that helps you grow. Overcoming fear and mistakes. My story. One of the biggest challenges I faced learning English was fear. Fear of making mistakes, fear of being laughed at, and fear that people wouldn't understand me. I think many learners feel the same way, and that fear stops them from speaking. I remember a moment when I was at an English meetup. I tried to say, I went to the store yesterday, but I said, I go to the store yesterday. Someone smiled and corrected me, but inside, I felt embarrassed. At first, this made me want to stop trying, but then I realized that making mistakes is normal. Even native speakers make mistakes sometimes. What helped me was changing how I think about mistakes. Instead of being afraid, I began to see mistakes as a way to learn. When someone corrects me, they are helping me improve, not making fun of me. And honestly, most people are kind and want to help. Another thing that gave me confidence was loving my own accent. My English is not perfect, and I have an accent from my first language. Sometimes people ask me to speak slower or say my accent is strange. But I don't mind because my accent tells a story where I come from and what I have learned. If you are afraid to speak, remember that everyone starts somewhere. It is okay to make mistakes. The important thing is to keep trying and not give up. The more you practice, the more confident you become. Believe me, even after many years of learning English, I still make mistakes. And that is perfectly fine. So, do not let fear stop you. Speak with courage and enjoy the process. Keeping language learning fun and consistent. Learning English is not just about hard work. It's also about having fun. When I first learned English, I was really interested in makeup videos on YouTube. Watching those videos made me excited to understand every word and phrase. This fun interest kept me motivated to learn more. One thing I did to practice speaking was to open an Instagram account where I posted simple sentences about what I learned each day. I would write about a new word, a funny story, or what I did. This made me practice writing and speaking at the same time. Sometimes friends would comment and correct me, which was very helpful. If you find learning boring, try to connect English with something you love. For example, if you like cooking, watch cooking shows in English and talk about the recipes. If you like sports, follow sports news in English and discuss your favorite players. When you enjoy what you learn, it doesn't feel like a chore. And you want to keep going. Also, being consistent is very important. Even 10 minutes a day is better than a long study once a week. Using apps like Busuu can help because they give you daily tasks. It feels good to complete small goals every day, and this keeps you moving forward. To finish, remember these 3 points. Practice speaking more than just listening. Get feedback to improve, and have fun while learning. If you keep these in mind, you will see your English grow step by step. Thank you for listening to Avocado's English Podcast. If you liked this episode, please like and subscribe to support the channel. I'm here to help you enjoy learning English every day. See you next time.